I've tried making this video a few times now, and I keep reading and keep seeing shit, and it just keeps getting crazier. Let's talk about the time that the CIA wanted to create a mind control drug and instead decided to just dose everyone with LSD. So the leader of this pack, Alan Dulles, decided in 1952 he wanted to go see a hypnosis show. So he goes and sees a hypnosis show, guys up there making people squawk like chickens, do all that kind of stuff. And he goes and talks to the hypnosis expert afterwards and talks to him for a little while. And the hypnosis expert tells him, yeah, I regularly women while I hypnotize them. And Alan Dulles goes, yeah, so how much was that 4-day class you were talking about earlier? So went to that 4-day class, came back to the office and made women do things that were not so good. They were flirting with office teammates and stuff like that. Nothing like, really sexual in nature, but still, it's gross. So Alan Dulles, now 1953, gets promoted to the director of the CIA, decides that he wants to try to find a mind control drug and or correlate that with hypnosis, and he brings on Sidney Gottlieb. Now, Sidney Gottlieb earlier, so 1938, they made LSD in Sweden, and Sidney Gottlieb, a little while before this, gets sat down with another CIA guy, and they do LSD together. So Sidney Gottlieb is stuck on LSD, being this miracle drug of truth serum and or mind control kind of a thing. And Alan Dulles is hung up on hypnosis. So Sidney kind of being in charge of this, like Alan Dulles just goes, hey, you make mind control drug, Sidney. Sidney's like, gotcha, buddy. So Sidney goes out and he starts trying different things. And Sidney's kind of fucking crazy a little bit. One of his interns goes out with him one day in the car. He rolls down the window and takes out a dart gun, blows the dart gun at the tree, and he says, looks at him and goes, come back in 2 days and look at that tree, right? So the guy comes back in 2 days, looks at the tree and goes, yeah, it's dead. Was it supposed to be fucking walking or something? Like,
hey, you know what you would call the Flintstones if they were black?
so what Sidney really does is he's like hung up on this LSD now that he's had it. He's kind of like a proto hippie, so he's just taking drugs. He takes this LSD or this idea of LSD, and he goes and buys all of Sweden's product that they have, 100 million doses of it. Okay, and he brings it back to the United States. And now, mind you, these first people are all willing participants in this first part of this towards 1953, 54, 55. And they're basically just having a bunch of hippie parties. They're dosing each other with LSD, and kind of taking notes. I mean, kind of. And seeing what happens. Just kind of having fun with it. And while they're doing that, they have a bunch of CIA black sites overseas, and they're taking a bunch of prisoners of war and stuff, and giving them LSD, making them say stuff, and then just killing them, right? So they're taking POWs, giving them LSD, making them say what they want them to say, or otherwise not want them to say, and then just killing them. And at one point, they like it's so bad they're like running out of places to put bodies. So one of the wives of one of the gentlemen that's in the safe house over there, mails back a letter that says, weather's nice over here in Frankfurt, Germany, but I went to go for a swim today, but they had to pull a body out of the water first.
Hey, Rahab! All friends!
So Sydney, throughout all of this, is dosing so many people with LSD that they kind of run out of like willing participants, and they have so much fucking LSD left over that they just start dosing random people, like going down to the bar and just throwing it in somebody's drink and see what the hell happens. Not only that, he is getting with George White, the director of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, soon to be DEA kind of a situation. And he is giving him a bunch of LSD and money. And he starts George White starts Operation Midnight Climax, which is kind of under this scope. And it is exactly what you think it is, kind of. So he hires prostitutes, not for himself, you know, being selfless about this, but for unsuspecting men to be then drugged with LSD. And while those unsuspecting men are getting drugged by LSD, George White is sitting behind a one-way mirror on a porta shitter taking notes while drinking. He's sitting in the cuck shitter watching two people have sex. And the only thing he gets out of this is like, men are more susceptible to give up information after they've had an orgasm because they're more vulnerable. Yeah. So the problem with this is like, we're not doing it overseas where it's like not technically illegal. We're doing it here in the United States, in New York, and well, mainly San Francisco, but we're doing this in the United States. The cuck shitter's here, and it's so bad that Wayne Ritchie, a U.S. Marshal, was randomly dosed, had no idea that he was dosed, went off and did a robbery at a San Francisco bar. He thought he was just schizophrenic. He thought he lost his mind for most of his life until finally he picked up Sidney Gottlieb's eulogy at his funeral. Well, after his funeral, he read it in the paper, and he heard about MKUltra, and he read it in MKUltra, and he goes, oh, fuck, that was me. And he tried to sue, and it was dismissed. And at the same time, all this cuck shitter, randomly dosing people shit's going on. Donald Cameron in Canada was hired for $69,000, equivalent to about $800,000 today. Was hired to try to do the like more hardcore stuff, more torture stuff. Like he's a psychiatrist, but like, come on, man. So he believed in breaking people all the way down to nothing, right? So in one instance, this guy's a world-renowned psychiatrist. Everybody thinks the world of him. He's the greatest, right? Well, in this one instance, a woman came up to him. She was 2 months pregnant with her child. She had just recently lost her other child due to sickness, and she was experiencing anxiety and depression, and she didn't want to kill this next baby, right? So she went to him and was like, hey, I need to fix my anxiety and depression. Well, he goes, not a problem. We can do that. And proceeded to blast her with noises for 21 out of 24 hours a day until she was basically pissing and shitting herself all the time. Like, she had no idea what the hell was going on. And at that point, she was 8 months pregnant. So she gave birth to this child having no idea how to go to the bathroom and a toilet, eat, like, take care of a child. Like, they had a nurse with her, but sometimes the nurse had to leave, and they left her with a book. And in the book, it literally had a picture of, like, baby crying. You pick up baby. This is how you feed baby. And they're just pictures. And then you put baby back down. Like, she needed a book with pictures in it to tell her how to take care of her own fucking child. Like, that's how bad this was. And he used that. He used barbiturates. He used anything you can think of to try to break somebody down to absolutely nothing and try to rebuild them back. Because at this point, like, they're trying to get a truth serum out, right? They're trying to make somebody tell the truth on something. So they're using LSD to try to be like, hey, tell me the secret code. And what they're doing is they're like telling somebody that like volunteered for this shit. They're like, hey, you don't say the word watermelon, right? Watermelon is the word you can't say. And then they're giving them LSD and saying, what's the word you're not supposed to say? What's the word you're not supposed to say? What's the word you're not supposed to say? And then they say watermelon. You're like, oh, success. And that's not how that works at all. So between 1953 and 1973, yes, this went on for 20 fucking years, they were basically just randomly dosing a bunch of people, willing or not, killing a bunch of people, POWs mainly, not really in the States. We'll get into one in the States. And trying to come up with this mind control drug of, not necessarily mind control, but like a truth serum is what it started out as. And then the second one was, what concoction can we get to make somebody do something and not know that we told them to do it? Basically, like, make a sleeper agent, like in the movies, saying a code word, again, watermelon, and all of a sudden, bam, they're like, I'm going to kill whoever, you know. So really in all this starts in 1953, and this goes with Alan Dulles going, hey, Sydney, here's a bunch of money, go figure out a mind control drug. So basically Alan can just go, hey, it was me. So Sydney then goes out and he gets George White involved in this, and George White with Operation Climax, he does all that kind of stuff. And then we also have Donald Cameron, who goes out and does his stuff, that he's getting money from this whole program. And like everybody at this point is just like, you know, trying to get this all together, and slowly they start realizing that, oh, this ain't gonna fucking work. And like they're 10 years into this and they're like, yeah, this definitely isn't gonna fucking work, but they're getting a bunch of money from it, so they're just gonna continue it until they're told to stop, because this is what's paying the bills, right? So they just keep trying to jam this down people's throats, literally and figuratively, all the way through this. At one point, even going so far as intravenously putting barbiturates in one arm, amphetamines in the other, pumping them full of barbiturates, and when they're about to fall asleep, just jamming a bunch of amphetamines in the other arm. Like they had no idea what they were doing, but they were just trying so many different concoctions, trying to get something because that's what they were told they had to do. And everybody wanted to be the next Oppenheimer. Like we just made a nuke. Like, why can't we do this? Everybody thought that was impossible. Why can't this be possible? And I'm not trying to give them excuses, but like that's what their mindset was. Like, we can totally do this, and they were totally fucking wrong. So, like, towards the beginning of this, there was an army scientist by the name of Frank Olson. He made like sarin gas and shit like that. So he went out and he went to see how this stuff worked on people and see how these different things do. And he is probably the only person in this entire fucked up scenario that has a conscience. And when he saw how the sarin gas worked and saw how people were dying from this stuff, he was like, you know what? I gotta call it. I gotta call it. I gotta call it. And he's like, I gotta talk to some people. I gotta out all this classified shit because this is just absolutely wrong, right? Well, he starts talking to his roommate, close friend, and he's like, yeah, I gotta do this, and I gotta get rid of this, and you know, yada yada. Well, unfortunately, at one of the CIA parties, he gets dosed with LSD. And these CIA parties, they're dosing fucking everyone. Literally, there was a memo sent out that said, do not drink the punch. It's going to have LSD in it. Like, what the fuck? So they dosed him. He goes a little crazy for a little bit. 9 days later, he comes back to New York again from Massachusetts. And another CIA director is in his hotel room. And then he falls from 11 stories up down to the ground. They dug up his body in 94 and found that there were skull problems that do not result from a fall from 11 stories. So they were suggesting that he maybe wasn't alive when he fell from the top. I'm not saying that that's what happened, because definitely he could have been dosed again with LSD and just went fuck and freaked out and jumped out the goddamn window. But, you know, throughout this entire operation experiment shit that they did, they didn't really come up with much. They just know that, no, we can't make a mind control drug to turn somebody into a sleeper agent. We can't make a truth serum. We can't do any of that shit. But we don't know a whole hell of a lot, because in 1973, the next director of the CIA decided that all of those records needed to be destroyed. Watergate probably spooked him a little bit, but he didn't destroy all of them, unfortunately, because they got into the hands of Congress. And in 1977, they had a congressional hearing. Congressional hearing was called Project MKUltra, the CIA's program of research into behavioral modification. And they went off on them. And you're thinking, oh, well, you know, they did crimes in the United States. They should probably be arrested. Yeah, heck yeah, let's arrest some people. It's the US government, baby. They don't arrest their own. We've seen that recently. We've seen that before. It just don't happen.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.